These boots are 15 years old, yet they look quite good. That's because 2 weeks ago I took them into a Red Wing store and got free maintenance done on them. They got cleaned and moisturized, and the laces got replaced, all for free, all for the lifetime of my boot. I asked my friends if they take their Red Wings in for this service. They said they've never heard of such a thing. So I look it up online, and the boot nerd subreddits are saying, no bro, you should never go in for your free maintenance. They'll probably do a bad job, and the whole point of buying nice boots is to maintain them yourself, which is a lot of fun and part of the joy of ownership. Yeah, maybe for you, boot nerd. Unrelated, a week later, I Googled 2 words, suede stain. The top result is this Reddit post from somebody asking how to remove a suede stain. The responses are not helpful. Memes, gripes, in-speak, joke responses, the kind of headassery we've come to expect from communities in which specialists of a niche congregate. One of the main reasons why I became a minimal consumer of products, a bit by accident, is that the contemporary process of picking any product is a bad time. Trying to figure out which anything to buy, whether it's a toothbrush or a digital camera, is a terrible experience because regular, everyday generalists are expected to seek advice from specialists. Need to know if Le Creuset's Dutch ovens are worth the money? Better check out a handful of subreddits, not just the Le Creuset subreddit. They're all shills. You've got to check out r/frugal male cooking and r/buy it for life and r/Dutch oven porn circle jerk. And my problem with that approach is that specialists care more about details that should be meaningless to a generalist like me. Before you suggest this is just a Reddit problem, I assure you annoying specialists lurk among us in every corner of commerce. I wanted to learn about pistols, so I went to some local gun stores. After all, there's a dozen of those within any given 5-mile radius here in Arizona. Lo and behold, specialists galore, trafficking in the specialist's favorite currency, jargon, slang, and mimetic speech. Why do I shoot a 45? Because they don't make a 46. The 1911 won 2 world wars, you know. iPhone is the top-selling smartphone, especially among people who don't care that much about phones. But ask a smartphone hobbyist what to buy, and you'll get recs with names like Le Eco Cool Pad Cool Changer 1C. No matter how inconsequential the product category may seem to a guy like me, there will be a devoted community of specialists ready to get granular about backpacks, sling bags, tech pouches, and it's not uncommon to see an influencer with hundreds of different models in the background as if buying stuff is in itself a hobby. Yuck. Maybe the real life hack is to visit specialty review sites like Wirecutter, where it's not based on community, but rather a small handful of deeply knowledgeable specialists who can simplify all the information and provide 3 to 5 easily digestible solutions. But as soon as a blogger or a YouTuber, a website, a publication, or a community becomes a trusted specialist online, they also become a primo target for paid advertorials and fake reviews, floating towards the hungry nostrils of direct marketers like so many pies on cartoon windowsills. This obviously stinks because it lessens my sense of trust, and I end up not buying anything, but it also lays a ruby carpet out for part 2 of my double-headed gripe sesh, which is the word scam. I think we will all see a ton of words lose their meaning in our lifetime. Remember when woke was a word that was used to aspirationally describe somebody who's more aware of societal factors than the average person? Now, woke is a word for Disney movies and video games and department stores. See also canceled, a word that might be used towards somebody who is committing a dozen felonies or somebody who's just kind of in trouble with their audience online right now. Performative is probably le word du jour on its way to losing its definition. The word that's stuck most deeply in my craw, though, is scam. To scam someone is to defraud them. Firefest tickets were a scam. Customers bought them hoping for a music festival, only to find there would be neither music nor festival. Theranos was a scam. You'd get your blood drawn for tests, but the tech couldn't actually test for the maladies that the companies claimed it could. I would say today, scam kind of just means anything I don't recommend, especially if the reason for that is being overpriced. This video states that Athletic Greens is a scam because AG1 doesn't offer enough vitamins and supplements in its suggested serving size. The advice given is to instead eat a nourishing diet rich in vitamins and minerals.
I do think that eating a Western diet and then adding supplements on top is probably better than just eating a Western diet alone. But my solution is just not to eat the Western diet.
Not to run D for AG, but obviously, it's best to eat an ideal diet. These guys make a dinky little multivitamin that costs way too much, and then they spend the profits on paying mega, ultra popular influencers to promote it. That's lame. That's a good reason to never buy their product. That's also kind of branding 101 stuff, not a scam. Some of my least favorite things to advertise on my cooking channel is high-end cookware or specialty ingredients. If I'm a specialist about anything, it's home cooking. So if you ask me if, say, Hexclad is legit, my answer would be something like, yes, they did something cool by putting nonstick divots in stainless steel pans, so you get the properties of both, but it doesn't actually solve any of the issues people may have with nonstick cookware to begin with, so why pay a premium for it? It's not a scam. It's not a fraud. They do what they say, and they provide the features that are promised, but really, only a beginner or a generalist would be interested in the hex-clad value proposition. People who are good at cooking have no use for it, just like a nutritionist with a balanced diet won't get AG1 at all. I got this $200 pepper mill for free, and it does have a cool factor, but going online and promoting stuff like this is an invitation for people to call me a scam enabler. By contemporary standards, some could say NyQuil is a scam, especially if you polled a bunch of specialists by say asking about NyQuil on a message board called r/OTC medicines or something. NyQuil addresses a cold by combining drugs that each treat a symptom of the common cold. You can dose out doxylamine to help you sleep, dextromethorphan for the cough, phenylephrine for the nasal discomfort, etc., etc., etc. If you bought each of those drugs individually in generic form, you would save a ton of money, and you would only take what you need for the symptoms you have today, instead of a catch-all cocktail of OTC drugs into blue-green gel caps. Normal, everyday people do not need to be doing all that. It's easier, albeit a little wasteful, to buy NyQuil or its generic equivalent. That doesn't make NyQuil a scam. And it would be ideal if ultra-knowledgeable specialists knew how to relate to the priorities of common folks. Why did it take so long for someone like me to post a video explaining what medium heat means in a recipe? Probably because so many folks who are good at something forget how to relate to beginners. This is why I try so hard to never use the word best. What's the best cold medicine? NyQuil is the most recognizable. Generic NyQuil is the most accessible. And making your own according to your own symptoms is the most cost-effective. What's the best skillet? Nonstick is the most forgiving. Stainless steel is the lowest maintenance. And carbon steel is the best value if you're prepared to care for it. Specialists are incredibly bad at doing this. In the food world, you'll get a ton of social media posts with titles and captions like, "Are expensive eggs a scam?" But every niche has the same issue. Is refurbished tech a scam? Are viral sneaker cleaning products a scam? Is printer ink a scam? I think the best counter argument to the point that I'm making right now is quit your bellyache, and that's just how clickbait works. And you know that the real question these people are asking is insert product name here worth the price? But which well-adjusted adult is realistically hoping to get an objective answer to a question like that from strangers online? Are high-end groceries worth the price? Well, do you feel like you can taste the difference? Does paying a premium price afford the farmers or animals better conditions? Is there a meaningful nutritional advantage? Does the status of being an expensive wine buyer matter to you in this moment? Or are you willing to bring a bottle of $2 Chuck to an engagement party along with links to a well-referenced research article that proves a bunch of blindfolded wine critics thought it tasted like a $100 bottle of Napa Cab? As long as specialists online refuse to acknowledge the priorities and perspectives of generalists, this will probably go on forever. Are oil changes a silly thing on which to spend money? Should everyone change their own oil? Who determines the break point at which diminishing returns stop being valuable? After all, every product will have an alternative that's 80% of the quality for 60% of the price, and anyone who ventures past someone else's acceptable budget is bound to be labeled the victim of a scam or too rich for their own good. Personally, I think is X a scam or is Y worth the money is a silly question. The way I see it, different people have different values is a true, reasonable, non-controversial statement, as well as an important consideration for someone who's developing a worldview. I also can't tell if that's a hot take or if I'm once again missing the point, and we're all deliberately meant to suspend disbelief to a degree for online entertainment, the way that I might ask a child, what's the biggest, coolest, most epic dinosaur of all time? I do mean that honestly. I'm not usually good at participating in those sort of unspoken interpersonal games. Look, watch me try. What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments. Oh, I see you typing that. That's a good one.